It's DK back at you with another video here for the NBA main slate here on Friday. Happy Friday to everyone. First, let's see how we did last night. So I kept it light last night, but it ended up being a huge night. $100 entry turned it into $1,500. Almost took down the tournament, so it was a great night. And again, I kept it light. I didn't really have the best feel about it, but ended up being a really good night for me. So Harden, I talked about him in my video that I recommended him the last couple times in short slates and he let me down. But I was going back to the wall. The match with the Lakers was just way too good, and he was low owned. I was a little surprised. 32% James Harden. Obviously the huge 50-point triple double. So he was a big reason as to why I had a great night. Chris Paul, okay, a little let down. Eric Gordon, he was just too chalky. I talked about he's really scoring dependent, but he was going to play all the minutes he can handle. I was too scared to fade him. Vucevic, I talked about him that I was locking him in against Chicago. I love targeting bigs against Chicago. Josh Hart, he was just too cheap. Holmes, he was the value play that I really liked yesterday that I talked about. And then I went with Bobby Portis and Bamba. So originally I had Dwight Powell and D'Anthony Melton in here. But once I got news that Bobby Portis would play 24 to 26 minutes, I tweeted out that Bobby Portis at 5.3K definitely has upside. So I pivoted to Bobby Portis, and I had 3.5K remaining. So basically, I had a choice between Jamal Crawford and Mo Bamba. Obviously, Crawford had upside. He did end up doing better, but Mo Bamba, bigs are just safer. They have a higher floor. So I just went with the Vucevic Mo Bamba combo against Chicago, and Mo Bamba got me there definitely in his limited time. So yeah, overall, really, really good night for me, and I am ready to keep it going here today for this nice little slate on Friday. So let's not waste any time. Okay, so let's start with point guard today, and Westbrook 10-8. So he let a lot of people down against New Orleans. He was the ultimate chalk. Only put up 47 fantasy points. So this is an interesting GPP play. I think a lot of people are going to be off him. They're going to be kind of scared of the matchup against Denver. So I think Westbrook could end up going a little under-owned here. So, if you want to play that ownership aspect, it's always great to get Russell Westbrook low-owned. So I think he's a pretty decent play here at 10-8. Steph Curry. So I really like the Golden State-Sacramento game. Let's see. It is the late night hammer, and it's a 235 over-under. It's at Sacramento, which I do like. So I think the Kings can keep it close. Steph Curry at 10-2. He had a very bad game against Toronto, but this guy has huge upside whenever he takes the court. I think he's priced about right at 10-2, so I think he's okay. John Wall at 9-5. He had that huge game. It went into overtime against Boston, 66 fantasy points. I wouldn't expect that from John Wall again, but the matchup against Brooklyn is pretty good here. So definitely can consider John Wall. The only concern is he's priced up to 9.5. That's a little pricey for John Wall. KEMBA, the matchup against New York is ideal. It's just I don't like paying over 9,000 for KEMBA, and he can have off night. So I think he's okay at 9.2. KYRIE at 9K. The matchup against Atlanta is ideal. Again, he had the 40 minutes against Washington. That game went to overtime. If we already know Al Horford's out, if Jaylen Brown's out, that's just more usage to go around for a lot of these Boston guys. So I think KYRIE is a pretty decent play here at 9K. Ben Simmons at 8.7. I would have interest in him big time if Jimmy Butler's out again. You could definitely give a hard look to Ben Simmons as well as Embiid. The matchup against Indiana, not the best. They're pretty good defensive team. Thad Young, Victor Oladipo, pretty good defenders. So Ben Simmons, I would have interest in him definitely if Jimmy Butler's out. Let's see, Dame Lillard. The price has dropped to 8.5K. Lowest I've seen on Dame Lillard in a while. So I think he's pretty good here. It's a game at home. Kyle Lowry's a decent defender, but just the salary for Dame Lillard makes him interesting today. Oladipo, only if I know that his minutes limit, if he's not going to have a minutes limit, because they limited him to 29 minutes last game. So if he's off his minutes limit, you definitely can give a look to Oladipo. Kyle Lowry. Okay, so We got Kawhi Leonard is questionable again today. And this is the Toronto-Portland game is a 10:30 game. So a strategy that I would recommend is kind of playing a lot of the guys in the late games. So if Kawhi Leonard gets ruled out, you could pivot to get Kyle Lowry or Van Fleet in there, as well as Ibaka or Siakam. I would definitely recommend getting a couple of those Toronto pieces in there if Kawhi Leonard's out. So it wouldn't be the worst idea, honestly, to just kind of stack the late games. And then if we get news Kawhi Leonard's out, you could pivot to a couple of these Toronto guys. D'Angelo Russell, I have the same analysis with him every single time. He's just too inconsistent for me. I'm a one lineup guy. The matchup against Washington is ideal. He has all the upside in the world. So in GPPs, yes, for sure. I just can't do it. He's just too inconsistent for me. So De'Aaron Fox, I've loved playing this guy this season, and the matchup against Golden State is ideal. Steph Curry defense. This guy just seems to step up in big games. And this is the highest over-under the night. So the only concern is the Kings, like early in the season, they were playing, their starters, huge minutes. But the last couple games here, they've been running kind of like a decent rotation, 10-man rotation. Fox isn't seeing like the 38 to 40 minutes a night like he was, earlier in the season. He's kind of like 32, 34-ish. But I think this is a game where the Kings run their starters out there a little more. So I think Fox could push for 35 minutes today. 7K, that price is definitely appealing, so I'm very much considering De'Aaron Fox today. Dinwiddie, now, I wouldn't chase this huge 51-point fantasy point game, but he's definitely still in play here. He's priced out, though, to 6.5, where I think I'll let other people chase. The matchup is good, but 6.5K for Dinwiddie seems a little expensive. So, if you really like the play, then go for it, but I'm going to let other people chase it, and I'm going to pass. Trae Young finally had a good game after a stretch of just like 5 or 6 shitty games in a row. So we got Jeremy Lin as questionable. If he's back, I don't know if I could go Trae Young just because the minutes would kind of be insecure. But the Hawks recently, surprisingly, have been running a short rotation. Basically a 10-man rotation, and they're running their starters out there a lot. Last game against Dallas, John Collins, 36 minutes, Dwayne Dedmon, 32, Trae Young, 35, Bazemore, 32, Kevin Huerter, 36. So if this trend kind of continues, maybe it doesn't even matter if Jeremy Lin's back. Maybe Trae Young's going to be locked into some good minutes, but you never know. Boston, I'm not too afraid of KYRIE defense. So I think Trae Young and GPPs is certainly a good play. Again, I'm a one-lineup guy, so I just don't think I can do Trae Young. Moutier, if you guys have been watching my videos for a while now, you guys know how I feel about New York. It's just too inconsistent for me. 26, 19, 31. You don't know. If he's playing bad, they're going to limit him. If he's playing good, he's going to see all the minutes he can handle. I can't do it. The Cleveland guys I talked about, they're just running too deep a rotation right now. Like a couple weeks ago, they're all great value plays, but they're just running too deep a rotation where probably the only guy I would have interest in is Larry Nance again. The guards are it's just too crowded right now. So Van Fleet, same analysis of Kyle Lowry. If Kawhi Leonard's out, I think Van Fleet and Lowry, great plays, as well as Ibaka, Siakam. I definitely think you'd probably want to play 2 of those 4 guys for sure. Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier. So we got Al Horford's out and Jaylen Brown's questionable. If Jaylen Brown's out, you definitely can give a look to 1 or 2 of these Boston guys for sure. The matchup against Atlanta is great. So definitely can consider a couple of these Boston guys if Jaylen Brown is out. As far as cheap guards, not a whole lot besides Monte Morris here, 4K. This is a value play that I do like. Now, it is, I wouldn't really say it's chasing this 38 fantasy point game, but he's going to be locked into some good minutes with Gary Harris out of there, with Paul Millsap out of there. That's 2 of their starters that played good minutes out of the lineup. And Denver kind of running a shorter rotation. So I think Monte Morris plays 25 to 30 minutes here. He's a pretty productive guy. He's shooting the ball pretty well. So again, I wouldn't expect 38 fantasy points, but I can safely predict, probably 20 to 25 fantasy points for Monte Morris with upside. So with a slate that kind of lacks value, right now I'm leaning towards Monte Morris as one of the value guys that I do really like. Okay, let's move on to shooting guard. So BEAL, the matchup is pretty good here against Brooklyn, and John Wall's up to 9.5, so I think I'd probably prefer Brad Beal over John Wall just because the $1,600 price difference. Beal still does have upside. He's a little more inconsistent, but anytime you can get Brad Beal under 8K, that's a pretty good buy. Butler, he's listed as questionable. I don't think I could play him if he plays. They might limit him a bit. And again, the matchup against Indiana is not the best. But again, if Butler's out, you can look to Ben Simmons as well as Embiid. And then I'll get to the Philly value plays in a bit here. So CJ McCollum, never really a guy I like playing, but he's seeing all the minutes he can handle right now. He's hot. He had a 40 real-life point game the other night against Memphis. So 7.1K for CJ is okay, but I don't know if I want to chase it with CJ McCollum. Jamal Murray here at 6.9. I think it's pretty fair price. He's also going to play all the minutes he can handle. He's listed as questionable, but it says he's probable, so I do fully expect him to play. And when he plays, he gets 40 or so minutes. So Jamal Murray, definitely viable here at 6.9. Let's see. Klay Thompson. So in the past, he's had huge games against Sacramento. Klay, his price has been up there a lot all season because Steph Curry and Draymond were out. But now he's kind of getting down to the price where he's playable, 6.2. I would consider playing Klay Thompson today. Again, the over-under is really high. So I definitely think Klay Thompson at 6.2K is viable today. Bogdanovich and Hield, again, I kind of just have the same analysis. They're pretty safe. They're going to play 30 minutes. They're going to get you 30 fantasy points with a little bit of upside. So I think both those guys in a high over-under are certainly playable. Bazemore, again, these Hawks are kind of, the Hawks starters have been playing some pretty consistent minutes. So 5.7, I still think Bazemore has upside there. I think he's okay. Let's see. Kelly Oubre. So we got Otto Porter's questionable. And again, if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you know I hate playing the Washington secondary pieces. They're just so inconsistent. So I'm really hoping Otto Porter plays so I don't have to deal with it. But if Otto Porter's out, then yes, Kelly Oubre, Jeff Green, Markieff Morris, all definitely in play, especially against Brooklyn. I think it's definitely viable to play one, maybe two of those guys. And Jeff Green, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that a couple days ago. I know it was a revenge game against Boston and it went to overtime, but he played 45 minutes. 45 minutes of Jeff Green. That was insane. So we're going to have to wait for Otto Porter news. If Otto Porter's out, Jeff Green, Oubre, Markieff Morris, definitely in play. Let's see here. As far as these really cheap guys, okay, so here's the Philly guys I want to talk about. So KORKMAZ here at 3.8. So I think he's viable if Jimmy Butler is out. If Jimmy Butler's playing, I don't think he sees enough minutes to get you there. So I've kind of been spot on here on predicting these guys who had big games to kind of have off nights. I did it with Luke Kennard a few days ago, and then Jalen Brunson I predicted even though I played him, and then Bryn Forbes last night. So a lot of those guys are just scoring dependent. KORKMAZ, definitely scoring dependent. 6 assists, that's an outlier. Don't expect that again. I played Summer League DFS. This guy was definitely just scoring dependent. He had off nights. He literally, in the Summer League, put up 2 fantasy points one night when he played 25, 30 minutes. So he has a very low floor. So don't go crazy with this play. But if Jimmy Butler's out, he's going to be locked into some good minutes, and he'll be the ultimate chalk. So it would be pretty hard to fade him because if his shot's falling, he can easily get 7, 8x on that salary. So KORKMAZ, I'm going to wait for Jimmy Butler news. The same thing here with TJ McConnell. Only would have interest if Jimmy Butler's out because he'll be locked into close to 30 minutes. So TJ McConnell, KORKMAZ. I got to wait for the Jimmy Butler news. Small forward. Okay, so Giannis. If you're a GPP guy, I think Giannis is going to be virtually unowned today. So he kind of had an off day against Indiana. And he hasn't really flashed upside recently. 32, 55, 54, 35 fantasy points. So the game log watchers, I think they're going to be off Giannis. Cleveland, a pretty good matchup here. The only concern is, can Cleveland keep it close? It's at Cleveland, so there's probably a decent chance they can. So Giannis, I'm a one lineup guy. I don't think I can do it. But I think it'll be low owned for GPPs if you want to take a shot there. Durant, I like a lot of these Golden State guys, so definitely viable here at 10.3K. Again, the highest over under of the night. So I definitely think you want exposure to that game. Paul George, so I recommended him against the Pelicans. Put up 53 fantasy points. He's been playing unreal this season, even with Westbrook in there. Denver has struggled to guard the small forward position, so Paul George, I think he's definitely viable here at 9.1. So Kawhi at 9.3, if he plays, I think you definitely could have interest in, but maybe they limit him a bit. And the fact that he's missed the last couple of games here is concerning. So I think Kawhi will be low owned if he plays, but I just don't think I could do it. Okay. So yeah, these Boston guys, Marcus Morris, Jason Tatum. If Jaylen Brown's out, I definitely think it's viable to play one or two of those guys for sure. Even Gordon Hayward, he's back, 5.8K. Gordon Hayward has just not looked good this season besides that one game a couple games ago. But, man, yeah, I don't know what's with him. Okay, so Kevin Knox here, 4.8K. So he played 33 minutes against Cleveland. He got in foul trouble early in the second quarter, picked up 3 fouls, and he still played 33 minutes. Like he got pulled with like 8 or 9 minutes to go in the second half. So he was on his way to play like 40 plus minutes. So I think Kevin Knox, I know it's the Knicks. You never know. He could, if he's playing bad, maybe they just limit him to like 25 minutes. It's definitely possible, but Kevin Knox would be the one Knick that I probably have the most confidence in with minute security right now. So 4.8K, I do really like that play today for Kevin Knox. Hernangomez, I think he's priced about right at 4.7. He's going to play all the minutes he can handle, so I think he has a decent floor today. So cash games, Hernangomez, I definitely think is viable today. JaMychal Green, same analysis with him basically every time. He does have upside. It's just the minutes with Memphis are just, they're really like up and down. You never know. He could play 19 minutes one night. He could play close to 30 minutes another night. If he gets those minutes upside, he has close to 40 fantasy point upside. So JaMychal Green, definitely in play at 4.6. Aminu at 4.5. This guy's kind of playing all the minutes he can handle right now. But the only concern with Aminu is he does kind of stand in the corner a lot. So if a shot's not falling, he definitely could burn you, but 4.5K, pretty cheap price for Aminu. Okay, so Trey Lyles, I think he's going to pick up the start today. He came off the bench against Memphis because Memphis kind of played big, and he got limited to 22 minutes, so I want to wait for a starting lineup. But OKC, besides Steven Adams, they kind of run more small ball, like Jeremy Grant is the 4, so I don't think Mason Plumlee is going to match up with Jeremy Grant very well, so I think it's a Trey Lyles night for sure. If he's inserted in the starting lineup, he should push for 30 to 35 minutes at least. So 4.4K, one of the value plays I would really like if he gets inserted into the starting lineup. Bielitsa, he had that huge, so he had the revenge narrative against Minnesota. He had the huge game. I wouldn't chase it. It just, his minutes are kind of really fluky. 30, 27, 21, 29. 4.2K is pretty cheap. So I think he's a value play you could consider. But if he's shooting badly, they're going to limit him to like 20 minutes. So Bielitsa, a little undecided. He has definitely huge upside at 4.2K. So it's just his minutes for some reason are just really inconsistent. So Damian Dotson, questionable. If he's out, I think that would just secure more minutes for Kevin Knox. So I'm kind of hoping he is out today. Let's see. Kevin HUERTER, 3.9K. Again, these Hawks starters playing some pretty consistent minutes. HUERTER, a low usage guy, but I think he's decent for cash games. He should get you 20 to 25 fantasy points, so I think he's okay. Wilson Chandler, You could give a look too, again, if Jimmy Butler is out at 3.8K. I think Butler, KORKMAZ, as well as TJ McConnell would be in play. Okay, let's move on to power forward. So John Collins here, 7.2K. For some reason, the price dropped. Maybe it's because the matchup against Boston. I'm not really afraid of attacking Boston anymore. And John Collins just has huge upside right now. He's also playing all the minutes he can handle. He's going to play 30 to 35 minutes. Boston, not the best rebounding team. So John Collins, definitely considering here at 7.2K. It's just too cheap for him right now. Like, he's playing out of his mind. So John Collins has 50 fantasy point upside for sure here at 7.2K. So I'm definitely considering him. And Draymond Green, I love this play here. 6.8K is just way too cheap for Draymond Green. I know, I recommended him against Toronto. Kind of busted. I mean, not 6.6K he was that night. 26 wasn't bad. He also got in foul trouble early, and then the game blew out, and he got pulled with like 5 minutes to go. So if he doesn't get in foul trouble and the game doesn't blow out, I think he was on his way for like 33 to 35 minutes. This is a very up-tempo game. There should be a lot of steals, blocks, opportunity. I love playing Draymond in up-tempo games. And 6.8K is just too cheap, so I'm all over Draymond Green today at 6.8. Sabonis, again, if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you know I love playing DOMANTAS Sabonis. It's just OLADIPO is back, so his usage is not going to be as high. And then as well as the emergence of Miles Turner has been playing really, really good. And same thing here with Thad Young. Both those guys have been playing really well, so that just concerns me a little bit with Sabonis. Philly plays big though. So Sabonis, if he stays out of foul trouble, should play 25, and then maybe if he's playing good, could push for 30 minutes. He has upside at 6.5K. I'm a one lineup guy, so I don't think I can do it. But GPPs, if you're making multiple lineups, I think playing a lineup with Sabonis would definitely be a good idea. Okay, Ibaka, Siakam. So if Kawhi's out, I think Ibaka would be the one I want, even though his minutes not as secure. He's not going to play 35 plus minutes. But he's just been playing really, really well today or recently. And then Siakam, his minutes a little more secure, but not as much upside. So I think Siakam is kind of the safer play. Ibaka has more upside. So again, if Kawhi Leonard plays, I don't know if I could play either of those guys. But if Kawhi Leonard's out, both those guys become elite plays. And same thing with Lowry and Van Fleet. So again, I think if Kawhi is out, probably playing two of those four guys would be probably your best bet here. Larry Nance, we all know that situation that went down with the Knicks. He was listed as a starter, and then 1 minute before lock, they put it to Channing Frye. He still played 33 minutes, but he got you there with 3 steals and 3 blocks. So I know Larry Nance is, he is kind of energy player. He's going to get some steals and blocks, but 3 steals, 3 blocks, that's kind of an outlier. If he picks up the starts, I think he's a pretty decent player at 6.2, but if he comes off the bench, you just never know with the Cavs. For some reason, they don't want to give him minutes, so I'm a little undecided on Larry Nance right now. Bam, yeah, he has upside, but I just don't like targeting players against Memphis. Marc Gasol, Joakim Noah, pretty decent defenders, so Bam, I don't know if I can do it. Jackson, he has upside, but he gets in foul trouble almost every game. I definitely can't do it for a one lineup guy. Marvin Bagley, I talked about him in my last video. I loved him at 4.8. He definitely got you there with 35 fantasy points. Now he's up to 5.7. He definitely still does have upside, especially in this up-tempo game, but I think he's priced about right. So Bagley, I think he's okay. Not the best player in the world, but not the worst player in the world. Thad Young. Okay, so I wouldn't chase this 57 fantasy point game for Thad Young. 25 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and a block. Definitely don't think he's going to do that again. And Thad Young, okay, he's gone on a stretch here where he's been pretty productive, but we know he's like a 15 to 25 fantasy point guy. Most of the games he plays. So I wouldn't go crazy. The price is up to 5.7. So I'm not chasing Thad Young. If you guys really want to play him, then I guess so, but I'm just not chasing that game. Noah Vonleh, just the minutes for the Knicks. I don't want to mess with it on this big of a slate. So Markieff Morris, this guy's burned me a lot recently. Like when I play him, he gets in foul trouble. So I played him against Philly here. He got 10 fantasy points, and then in between that, he had 33, 43, 36, 41 where I didn't play him. And I think I played him again where he had like 20 fantasy points. So, but Markieff Morris at 5.1K. That's pretty cheap if Otto Porter's out. I think Markieff Morris would be locked into some good minutes. So, if Otto Porter's out, you have to consider Markieff Morris today at 5.1. It's just, he gets in foul trouble a lot, and he has a temper. Like, there's always like probably like a 2% chance he could get ejected. It's never a play you feel safe about, but 5.1K, that price is pretty enticing. Let's see here. So Daniel Theis, 4.4. Al Horford's out, but Theis only played 14 minutes against Washington. Now I know Washington kind of ran small ball. So Atlanta kind of runs bigger with Dedmon, with Alex Len, with John Collins. So Theis I think is okay. I think I would just rather play Aaron Baines. If Aaron Baines is not going to have a minutes limit, I think Aaron Baines would be the one I prefer. Plumlee, if he picks up the start, but I really expect it to be Trey Lyles to pick up the start. So Plumlee, I do expect him to come off the bench, probably play about 20 minutes. Sure, he still does upside there, but I would rather play Trey Lyles. Jeff Green, again, played 45 minutes. Don't expect that again. But if Otto Porter's out, these secondary pieces for Washington are in a pretty good spot and should be locked in some decent minutes. So Jeff Green definitely can give a look to a 4.3. Dedmon at 4.3. And he's kind of got secure minutes now. And he has upside. A value play I kind of do like. So Dedmon 4.3 definitely can consider. Okay, let's move on to the center position. So we got Embiid at 10.6. So if Jimmy Butler's out, yes, then Embiid, Ben Simmons definitely can consider. If Jimmy Butler's playing, I think there's centers that I like better today than Embiid. But again, if Butler's out of there, that's just so much usage to go around. So Embiid, 10.6 for sure if Jimmy Butler's out. Jokic, I'm a little torn because I do really respect the defense of Steven Adams, but Anthony Davis, Julius Randle, both had pretty big games against that Oklahoma City defense last game. So definitely exploitable. And Jokic with Jamal Murray, with Millsap out of there, there's so much usage to go around. His minutes have kind of been secure too. So 9.4K, I do like Jokic a lot today. Marc Gasol, he's not seeing enough minutes right now, and they don't want to give him more than 30 minutes. They're giving Joakim Noah a lot of minutes, so Marc Gasol's not playable for me. Miles Turner only for GPPs. Yes, he has flash from upside. I don't like targeting opposing bigs when like the other big is like really aggressive and like a scoring big. So like Embiid, definitely like great at drawing fouls. He's going to be aggressive. So I'm just worried that Miles Turner gets in foul trouble, and he's priced up to 7.4K, where I just don't want to take a shot in this big of a slate. Whiteside, he should be back yet today for the game against Memphis, but I do respect the Memphis D. Whiteside, he has upside every single time, but it's just a matter of if he's like being aggressive or not. He could get you 20 fantasy points, he could get you 60 fantasy points. He's just too inconsistent for my liking. Enes Kanter, so I recommend it against Cleveland. If you're a GPP guy making multiple lineups, to at least get him in there in one lineup. You got your 38 fantasy points. So I love targeting bigs against Charlotte, but you just never know with Enes Kanter's minutes. He could get limited to under 20 minutes. He could play over 30 minutes. You don't know. So my same recommendation, again, if you're making multiple lineups, definitely get Enes Kanter in one of those lineups, because a big is against Charlotte. Definitely want to target that. Okay, so Yusuf Nurkic here at 6.7. I'm all over this. This is like basically my lock of the day here. 6.7K is just way too cheap for Yusuf Nurkic. So his last game against Memphis, he shot the ball 1 of 15. 1 of 15 and got 26 fantasy points. This guy's aggressive, and this isn't Terry Stotts of old where there'd be some games where Nurkic would close, some games where he wouldn't. He's going to close basically every night here, and he's going to push for 30-plus minutes. The only concern is Toronto without Valanciunas. You know, kind of runs like a stretch 4-5 with Ibaka at the 5. So maybe like there's a slight chance they don't close the Nurkic, but like every single game that's close, he has been closing. So I think 6.7K is just way too cheap for Nurkic. So I absolutely love him today at 6.7. Willie Cauley-Stein at 6.4. The Kings are just kind of running a deep rotation, but again, with the matchup against Golden State, I think these starters get extended a little more. So Cauley-Stein, I definitely think he's viable today at 6.4K. Let's see, I did talk about all those guys. Adams at 6.3. Denver plays big. So actually, more than I think about it, I think Steven Adams is a pretty good play. 6.3K is really cheap for Steven Adams. And yeah, Denver plays really big. Jokic, Trey Lyles, Mason Plumlee. So the more I think about it, I think Steven Adams is a really good cash game play, and he has upside. So I think Steven Adams, pretty good play here, 6.3K. Let's see. Jarrett Allen, but you know, Washington, one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, but the Nets are just they're inconsistent with the minutes, so I don't think I could do Jarrett Allen. Cody Zeller, so I like when he's like 4K. He's priced up to 4.9, where he's priced probably about right here. The matchup against Enes Kanter is great, but I don't feel good about playing 4.9K for Cody Zeller. Let's see. Valanciunas is out. So, you know, Greg Monroe at 3.6, I think he would be the guy that picks up a lot of these minutes. Valanciunas, you know, doesn't play a whole lot of minutes anyways. He plays like 15 to 20 minutes. So Greg Monroe, I think will pick up that role, 15 to 20 minutes. You know, he's pretty, he's a high usage guy. You know, he's going to shoot the ball, get some rebounds. So I think he's okay at 3.6K. Aaron Baines, again, if he is off his minutes limit, he was limited to 16 minutes last game, but Atlanta plays big. So if Baines is not going to be on a minutes limit, I think he's definitely in play for salary relief. And yeah, okay, I think that's going to do it. So with this big slate, I'm feeling pretty confident, so I am going to give my core plays for today. So let's start off with basing my lock today, Jusuf Nurkic, 6.7K. It's just too cheap. This guy has 50 fantasy point upside, you know, every time he takes the court, and for some reason he's just underpriced here. So it's just way too cheap for Jusuf Nurkic. And then let's get to Draymond Green, 6.8K against Sacramento. I love targeting this game. Should be a lot of turnovers, block and steal upside for Draymond Green. So I definitely think he's viable today at 6.8. So small forward. Kevin Knox, I think he's just going to be locked into some good minutes today. At 4.8K, he seems a little too cheap. He's being pretty aggressive. So Kevin Knox, definitely in play today at 4.8. And then let's get to another value play that I do like with Monte Morris. You know, with not Jamal Murray, with Gary Harris and Paul Millsap out of there, there's just a lot of minutes to go around. I don't think I would go to like Malik Beasley or Torrey Craig. I think Monte Morris is the value play you would want here for Denver. So Monte Morris, 4K. I think he's definitely one of the value plays you could consider. But if Trey Lyles is confirmed starting, I think I would prefer Trey Lyles over Monte Morris. So again, I'm going to kind of wait for news. So right now, I'm going to put Monte Morris in there. But if Trey Lyles ends up getting ruled the starter, I think I'd prefer Trey Lyles over Monte Morris. But Monte Morris still a 4K, just a little too cheap. So I think you could play Morris and Lyles together if you wanted to. And then lastly, so I'm kind of torn on who I want for the last guy. I do really like John Collins. Just seems a little too cheap here at 7.2K. So I definitely am considering playing John Collins, but I also really like Fox today. It's just an up-tempo game, and he seems to show up in these big games. I think the starters get extended a little more here. So right now I'm going to put Fox in there, but I also really like John Collins as well. And again, another strategy that would not be a bad idea, guys, is kind of just stacking these late games: Golden State, Sacramento, Toronto, Portland, OKC, Denver. And then if we get news that Kawhi's out, you get pivot to Lowry, Van Fleet, Ibaka, Siakam. Those guys would all be elite plays if Kawhi Leonard's out. So All right, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you ever enjoying the content, please like this video, subscribe. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section down below. It's also important to follow me on Twitter. That will be in the description below. I'll give my thoughts as more news comes out. And yeah, I think there's a decent slate for Saturday, so I'll be back with another video then. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.